Hey guys, tonight's story takes us to the far edge of a crumbling world, to a place where the wind walks freely through empty halls and the fires in the watchtowers haven't burned in years. This is the last castle, lonely, silent, forgotten. Everyone left. The war ended, or maybe it didn't. No one knows for sure. Except one man stayed, the last sentinel. He wasn't brave. He wasn't foolish. He just never received the order to leave. And so he waits, armor rusting, flag torn, eyes fixed on a horizon that never changes. Each day, he writes a letter to his captain, to the crown, to someone. And each night, he tucks it away in a wooden box stacked with pages the world may never read. If stories like this quiet your mind, if they make you feel just a little more human-like, follow, or simply stay a while. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from, and what time the watch begins for you. Soak in the lights, listen to the wind and the empty stone, and read with me the letters of the man who kept the last castle. You wake before the frost has melted from the arrow slits. The stones beneath your bed are cold, uneven. The thin blanket across your shoulders no better than mist. The same iron bell rings once. Not loud, not sharp, just enough to make the crows shift on the battlements. You rise without thought, movements burned into you by years. You dress in wool and leather, binding the faded surcoat across your chest. The red lion still shows, barely, stitched once with pride by a hand you no longer remember. The belt hangs looser than it once did. The boots are worn through at the soles, but they serve. They must. The garrison is empty now. No other footsteps echo in the halls. No voices trade shifts or grumble over fire. No pages run errands. Just you. One man in a castle meant for 80. You are the last, and you are still on duty. You walk the length of the southern wall before the sun rises. Snow crunches beneath your boots. The banners are gone, shredded in the storm 3 winters ago. The flagpole stands naked, but you salute it anyway. Not because it still flies, but because it did. And because no one gave you the order to stop. Below, the valley stretches in silence. Forest, white and sleeping. The river choked with ice. The road once a trade artery, now only a line swallowed by snow and time. You haven't seen a cart in years. Not since the King's War ended. Not since the horn last sounded from the western tower. You don't know who won. You never asked. The messenger never came. The last command you received was clear, hold the pass, maintain position, await reinforcements. And so you have every day since. You climb the west tower, the highest point. The wind hits you like a slap, but you take it with a breath and no complaint. From here, you can see the eastern ridge, the long slope where once you watched armies move like waves of iron and smoke. Now, dear. Trees, silence. You check the beacon, but you haven't lit it in 5 years. Oil's still there. The wood is dry. You are ready, should the flame be needed. You return to the barracks. The door groans as you push it open. Inside, dust, bones of bunks, a rusted brazier where fire no longer burns. You sit at the table near the window. You take out the logbook, open to the last page. Write in slow, careful script, Day 2, 183. No contact. Weather calm. No movement along the north path. No flags on the ridge. Sentries accounted for. Post held. You sign it, as always. Name. Rank. The script is shaky. The ink thinned. But the words still stand. You place the book back in its chest, latch it shut, and return to the kitchen. A room stripped of life. You boil snow. You break off a heel of bread, old and hard. You chew it slowly. The silence is complete. No rats. No crackling hearth. No clatter of armor. But you don't mind it. The silence is company now. In it, you remember things. Voices. Laughter. The sound of the captain's boots. The way the armory door never quite closed right. The scent of steel and oil and stew in the mess hall. All gone now, but not lost. You carry them. You carry everything. In the armory, you check the weapons. Still sharp, still clean. You oil them once a week. Not for war, for order. You light incense in the chapel. Kneel before the stone altar. Pray not for salvation, but for instruction. And when none comes, you simply whisper the words carved above the arch. Fortis in silentio dat strong, in silence. You stand guard until dusk. Then, light the torch near the gate. It's a ritual now. No one sees it. No one comes. But once years ago you swore to hold the light. You eat again. Less. Always less. Then walk the walls once more. By moonlight this time. The snow has stopped. The cold has not. You look east. Then west. Then down. No firelight. No banners. No sound but the wind in the pines. You return to your quarters. Sit. Remove your boots slowly. Stretch your legs. Lay the sword beside your cot. You stare at the ceiling beams, the cracks where stars sometimes blink through the rot. You do not sleep quickly. You count the seconds between wind gusts. You think of the captain, of your first night here, 18 years ago. You think of the letter you never finished. And then, finally, you sleep. Alone. A soldier in a castle the world has forgotten. But you have not. You wake before the frost melts. Rise. Dress. Walk the wall. And hold the post. Because the order was never rescinded. And you are still the watch, that you wake before the light again. Not from sound. Not from dream. Just the familiar pull of ritual, like breath, like heartbeat. The cold clings tighter now, threading through the cracks in the stone like fingers searching for warmth. You rise. The same tunic, the same boots, the same sword belt buckled with slow hands that remember their task before the mind does. You light the torch in the western passage, more from habit than need. The wind from the north has begun to whistle through the iron arrow slits like a dying flute. You walk the walls. Always the same path. From the western turret, across the south edge, past the remains of the old watch post where the roof collapsed in the third winter after the last letter. The stones are brittle here, cracking under your weight. You tread lightly, still adjusting your stride out of instinct, though no one follows behind you anymore. At the gate you pause, just long enough to scan the road that leads down through the pines. There was once a time you would see farmers, traders, soldiers moving in groups or with banners. Then came silence. Now, the road is just white. A line scratched into a world that has stopped listening. And yet today, something is different. You feel it before you see it. In the stillness. In the way the birds don't call from the trees. In the way the snow lies heavier, untouched but uneasy. There's a figure. Distant. At first you think it's memory. A trick of wind. Then it moves. Slow. Measured. As if testing the ground beneath each step. You grip the edge of the stone with one gloved hand, squinting into the light. It's a man. Cloaked. Hooded. Not hurrying. Just coming. And he is alone. You do not shout. You do not descend. Not yet. You wait. You have waited so long that stillness is your companion, not your enemy. When the man reaches the base of the hill, he stops, looks up. You can't see his face. Just the outline, sharp against the snow behind him. He raises one arm nod in greeting. Nod in... Just held there. Then lowered. You move now. Not quickly. Just with certainty. You descend the inner stair. Cross the silent courtyard. Your boots echo too loudly. You reach the gate. Unbar the iron. It hasn't opened in 6 years. You push. It screams like something old being asked to remember how to move. You step through. Into the wind. The man stands 15 paces away. Close now. Still silent. His cloak is worn. His beard thick with frost. His eyes watching. He does not speak. Neither do you. Then, slowly, he reaches into his satchel. Pulls something out. A scroll. Sealed. Red wax. Unbroken. He holds it forward. You take it. Your hand brushes his. Cold, dry, real. You turn the scroll in your fingers. No crest, no ribbon, but the wax is marked with a symbol you recognize. The royal seal. The old one, from before the war. Your breath catches. Not from surprise, from memory. He doesn't wait. He turns, walks back the way he came. No words, no glance, just vanishes into the snow. You don't follow. You hold the scroll for a long moment. Then, return to the gate. Close it. Bar it. Walk back to your quarters. Sit by the long cold brazier. You break the seal. Unroll the parchment. The ink is faded but legible. You read slowly, aloud. Your voice strange to your own ears. To all loyal sentinels of the Southern Watch, your duty is ended. Return to the world. Your post is released. The king is gone. The crown is broken. The war is over. Your hands do not tremble, but the scroll falls to your lap like it no longer matters what it says. You stare at the wall. Then at your sword. Then at the sky through the broken shutter. You whisper, but no one said to stop. The room offers no answer. You rise. Place the scroll in the logbook chest. Close it. You don't sign anything today. You don't walk the full wall. But you do climb the bell tower. You stand there, wind biting through wool and skin, and look out toward the hills. The man is gone. The road is empty again. But something inside you is different now. Not shaken, just shifted. You descend. Check the weapons in the armory. They are still there, still ready. You kneel in the chapel. But tonight, you do not pray. You sit in silence, long into the dark. And in the stillness, a thought begins. Not loud, not clear, just possible. What does a soldier do when the war forgets to end him? You wake before light. Not from habit this time, but from the weight of the message sealed in your chest like an unopened wound. The scroll lies on the table where you left it last night. Its wax broken, its words still echoing somewhere between your ribs. Your duty is ended. Return to the world. The war is over. But you have not moved. Not really. Not in the way that matters. Your body walks the walls. Your hand checks the armory. You light the torch at the gate and watch the empty path for signs of movement that never come. But something within you remains fixed in place, like a stone half buried in frozen earth. You sit longer now. Not from weakness, from thought. There is a hollow inside you that used to be filled with certainty, with command, with purpose. Now it rings like an empty helm left on a post. The scroll said, "The crown is broken. The king is gone." And somewhere beyond these walls, men no longer wear your colors, no longer speak the names carved into the tower stones, no longer care what was held here. But the walls remember. The wood remembers. You remember. You eat in silence. You eat less. The bread is hard as rock. The broth thin as memory. You chew slowly, eyes on the window, waiting for wind to rise, for some voice to break the pattern. But none comes. The wind stays low. The world beyond the walls refuses to speak. You return to the chapel. The altar is cracked along one side, a fault line grown over years of freeze and thaw. You kneel as you always have. But now your prayers do not rise. They sink into the floor, into the stone, as if the chapel itself is tired of lifting your voice. You open the logbook, page after page marked with the same note. Duty held. No contact, no change. You hesitate, pen in hand, then write only one line. Receive notice, post released. I remain. You sign it, close the book, place it in the chest, bar the door behind you. You walk the northern tower. Once, this was your favorite post. From here, the wind swept down from the peaks with the scent of pine and snow. Now, it smells of stillness, as if the trees have stopped breathing. You lean against the stone, close your eyes, try to remember the sound of marching feet, of distant horns. Of the night they lit the beacon on the western ridge, and you thought the war had come to your door. But it never reached you. Only its silence did. You climb to the highest room, where the watch scope lies rusted and blind. You look through it anyway. Habit. Ghost reflex. You see only trees. A lone raven on the broken arch. You whisper a single word. Still, the bird does not fly. That night, you light a fire in the old smithy. The first in years. The smoke curls upward through a cracked flue. You sit beside the warmth. Not to forge, just to feel. The stone around you glows faintly, and for a moment, the castle feels alive again. As if the heat has drawn breath from the bones of the wall. You sleep there, wrapped in your old cloak, the lion on your chest faded to ash. You dream of the road below the pass, covered in snow, then cleared, then walked again. Not by armies, by one figure, walking slow, toward the gate. You wake with your heart loud in your ears. You rise, cross the courtyard, climb the gatehouse, and for a moment, in the gray light before dawn, you think you see him again. The man with the scroll, standing where he once stood, watching, waiting, but when you blink, he is gone. Only the path remains, and it is empty. You ring the tower bell, just once. The sound cracks through the morning like a breath pulled too fast. Then, silence returns. You whisper, "I heard." Then descend. The scroll lies now in the chapel, beneath the altar. You placed it there not as defiance, but as offering, as weight, as a marker of what you choose. You do not leave. You do not prepare to leave. You sharpen the blade you've always used. You polish the armor you've not worn in years. You clean the banner, though it will not fly again. You sweep the stones of the inner keep. You light the torch at the gate. Because this is not madness. It is memory. It is loyalty that no longer needs an order to exist. It is silence held so long it becomes a language. You are not waiting for orders now. You are becoming the place itself. The post is not a location. It is you. And if one day someone climbs the ruined road and asks, "Who kept this place?" there will be an answer, even if you're not there to give it. Because stone remembers. Because duty echoes. Because the war may have ended, but the watch has not. The snow begins again before morning, soft and soundless, falling like time itself, layer by layer, without concern for what lies beneath. You rise before light, though now there is no need. No one commands your movements. No horn calls you to the wall. No commander checks the gatehouse. But still, your hands move with the same rhythm. You light the torch in the lower corridor. You gather snow to melt. You check the hinges of the south postern, though no one has tried them in years. You oil the wood. You press your palm to the cold iron and count to 10. The warmth of your hand disappears quickly, but your presence remains marked in frost, in breath, in intention. You walk the inner wall slower now, not because of age, because of weight. Not on your back, but in your chest. The scroll sits beneath the altar still, hidden in silence. You've not read it again. You don't need to. The words live inside you now, whether you welcome them or not. The king is gone. The post is released. But you have not stepped beyond the gate, and you know now that you never will, because something deeper than order holds you here. Memory, perhaps, or duty turned into marrow. You pass the barracks. The doors hang open now. Snow has drifted through the southern arch. The bunks remain like bones, arranged in perfect ruin. You pause, but your eyes adjust to the low gray light. You speak one name aloud. Just one. A name you haven't said in years. You hear no answer, but you feel something shift in the silence, like a breath being held in stone. You walk on. The mess hall is dark. You light no flame. You sit on the bench where you always sat, third from the left. You run your fingers across the wood, feel the groove your belt made over years. You close your eyes and let the cold settle on your skin, like ash. Then you rise. The wind outside has picked up, not howling, just persistent, a whispering kind of wind, one that speaks less to your ears and more to your memories. You climb the bell tower slowly. The stairs creak in protest. You pause halfway up, hand on the stone wall. You feel vibration not from the wind, from deep beneath the keep, as if the earth remembers the sound of the bell and rings it back, silently, to itself. You reach the top. The sky is white, without shape or sun. You stand in the tower for a long time. You do not ring the bell. You simply stand beside it, one hand resting on the rope, eyes scanning the ridge, the tree line, the broken road. Nothing moves, but the stillness carries weight, as though someone, somewhere, is watching you, not with eyes, with memory. You descend, return to the chapel. You do not kneel this time. You sit. The altar before you, the scroll beneath it. You place your hands on your knees. You close your eyes and breathe. Deep. Slow. The silence here is different than the silence outside. It has texture, layers. You listen into it, the way a soldier listens into the dark. And somewhere in that silence, you begin to hear footsteps. Not real, not present, but remembered. Boots on stone, armor shifting, voices low and tired. Not ghosts, not echoes, just impressions like the smell of fire in an empty room. You do not move. You let them pass around you. You let the chapel fill with a history only you still carry. When it fades, you rise. Step out into the courtyard. The snow is deeper now. Your footprints from the morning are gone. Covered. Forgotten. You do not make new ones. You remain still. Watch the flakes fall in silence. Then return to your quarters. You sit at the small desk, light a candle, take out the logbook. You open to the last page. You write only one sentence. The gate remains closed. The name remains spoken. You do not sign it. You do not date it. You close the book. Lay the quill aside. You sharpen your blade that evening. Slowly, carefully. The edge is still true. You wipe the steel clean and set it beside the window. You sit through the night, watching the light of the moon shift across stone, then snow, then back again. And when the candle dies and the dark returns, you do not move. Because this too is part of the watch. Because there is honor in being the last. And someone, somewhere, must remember how to remain. The wind comes from the east now, not cold but heavy, like a breath pulled from a deep chest. You stand on the outer wall where the stone narrows, where the pine grows too close, where the view once showed signal fires during the war. You look out, not expecting light, not hoping for it, but remembering how it once burned there, on the hill beyond the gorge, how men once watched your torch for reply. That hill is dark now. It has been dark for years, but today, the wind moves through the trees and sounds like movement, like cloth against armor, like someone walking slowly through the undergrowth. You wait. You listen. But the forest says nothing else. You return to the gatehouse. Your bones ache from the cold, but your grip is still sure. You check the hinges, the bar, the rusted bolts, all strong. You brush snow from the latch with one hand and press your ear to the wood. Nothing. Only the sound of wind and blood in your own ears. You stand like that for a long time. You do not realize your breath has fogged the door until the ice begins to form over it. You step back. One pace. Then another. Then turn and walk the wall again. You mark each tower, each corner. You walk the entire length, your boots pressing prints that no one follows. The stone beneath you shifts. Not much. Just a little. The freeze-thaw of winter, or age, or something older than either. You note it. You say nothing. You return to the keep. Inside, the fire has long gone out. The walls are lined with frost. You light no new flame. Instead, you sit at the long bench in the hall where you once ate with the others. You place your hand where his hand used to rest. You remember the sound of his laughter, of his cup against wood. You remember the last thing he said to you, "If they don't come, we stay." Simple. You haven't spoken his name in years. You do not speak it now, but the silence remembers it for you. You eat bread that has gone hard, soaked in water boiled with pine needles. It keeps you steady. Not strong, steady. You clean your blade again. You polish the breastplate, though it will not shine. You rewrap the hilt in fresh cloth torn from the old standard. The lion is gone, but the red still shows. Just enough. At dusk, you walk to the chapel. The wind follows you, curling behind your steps. Inside, the altar waits. The scroll beneath it remains untouched. You light 2 candles, one for the post, one for the men. You do not speak. You sit. And the chapel fills again with remembered presence. The air feels denser now, like breath caught in stone. You kneel, place both palms on the floor. It is cold, but it does not resist you. You whisper one word, still, and the silence answers, not in voice, in stillness deeper than yours, a stillness that feels like listening. You stay that way long after the candles burn low. You rise, return to your chamber. You unroll a fresh page in the logbook. You write, no orders given, no orders needed. I remain. You leave it unsigned again. You leave it open. You wake before the wind. You dress in full gear. You fasten each buckle slowly, methodically. Your blade hangs from your side. Your eyes are tired, but clear. You climb the western tower. The bell is stiff with cold, the rope frozen stiff. You strike it once with your hand. The sound is dull, but it carries. You listen to the echo. It is not returned, but you ring again, and again, until the frost on the stone cracks from the sound. Then silence again. You descend, walk the keep. At the armory door you pause. Inside, the racks are empty. You stored everything in one room now. The others collapsed with time. You open the chest where your first tunic is folded. Threadbare, gray with age. You press your hand to it. Then close the lid. Outside, snow begins again. Fine, relentless. You take a torch. You light it. You walk to the gate. You do not open it, but you stand before it and raise the flame. Slowly, deliberately, you hold it high. For no one. For everyone. For memory. For silence. And you know, though no one sees, it this moment will remain. The flame. The figure. The silence. The stone. It is enough. The days no longer divide. Light comes and goes, but without rhythm. The snow covers everything, then melts, then returns. The wind circles the keep like a memory that refuses to leave. You stop counting. Not because numbers fail, but because the weight of repetition no longer matters. Every act is the same act. Every watch is the same watch. You wake before dawn, but there is no dawn. Only gray. Only white. Only the same wall, the same stone, the same silence. You stand on the northern tower, the highest point, and look out toward the pass. The trees have closed in. What was once a road is now a narrow shadow beneath the pine. You have walked it before. Years ago, you have not stepped beyond the gate since the letter arrived. You do not plan to. You sharpen your blade again, not because it is needed, because it reminds you of the days when it might have been. You oil the hinges on the gate. You clean the torch brackets. You empty the snow from the chapel's cracked roof. These are not acts of hope. They are acts of continuity. You are not holding the castle. The castle is holding you. Some nights you hear sounds from the walls. Not voices, not movement, just stone shifting, as if it breathes in sleep. You light no fire. The air inside your chamber is colder than death, but you feel no urgency. You feel only presence, only the steadiness of stone. You find yourself speaking less. Even your thoughts grow quieter. You speak only to the silence, only to the watch. Once, you carved names into the wooden beam above your bed, names of those who served beside you. They are fading now. You do not recarve them. You do not need to see them. You remember where each one rests. You remember the way they held their blades, the way they stood at sunset. You remember the last thing each of them said before they were gone. You speak to them now, briefly, inwardly, not as prayer, as report. You tell them the castle stands. You tell them the walls still rise. You tell them the banner, though tattered, still hangs in the armory. And when you walk the battlements, you feel as if someone walks with you, not beside you, in your steps, through your boots, in your rhythm. You are not haunted. You are inhabited. The castle has taken you in, not as prisoner, as keeper. You write one last entry in the logbook. You do not date it. You do not sign it. It reads, I am the post now. Then you close the book and do not open it again. The nights grow longer. You do not measure them. You sleep in the chapel now, near the altar. You rest on a cot you built from old spears and a wool cloak once worn by the captain. You ring the bell only once each day, at no fixed hour, only when the silence feels deepest. The bell no longer echoes. It simply lands, and then stays. The trees at the edge of the pass do not move, but you feel them listening. One morning, the snow is gone, just for a day. The ground shows through. The path is clear. You walk to the gate. You unlock it. You open it. Slowly. The wood creaks. The frost falls. You step outside. 1 pace. 2. You do not leave. You only feel the air. It is different. Not warmer. Not colder. Just older. You close the gate. Lock it again. Return to your post. That night you dream. But it is not a dream. You are standing at the tower. You are ringing the bell. But this time, someone hears. This time, someone answers. You wake with the sound still in your chest. You light a torch and place it on the highest parapet. You do not look for a response. You simply leave it burning. A sign, a breath, a signal not of need, but of presence. You are not calling for help. You are reminding the world that this place still holds shape, that a wall is still watched, that a man still stands. You return to your bed. You sleep without fear, because you have become more than the post. You are the memory that holds it. You are the breath that keeps it warm. And when the snow comes again, you let it fall. And when the silence returns, you welcome it, because this is what it means to remain. The winter does not end. The seasons no longer matter. The sky remains the same, pale and unmoved, like an old god who no longer listens. You move slower now, not from weakness, but from weight. The weight of stone. The weight of time. You have not spoken aloud in weeks. The words live inside you, quiet and full, but there is no longer any need to let them leave. Everything you once said to others, you now say with motion, with walking, with watching. You rise with the light and lie down with the dark. But even these things blur. You sleep less. You stand longer. You eat only when your hands tremble. You drink melted snow. You no longer track the days. You do not mark the pages of the logbook. You do not light the candles unless you feel the silence lean in around you. Then you light only one. Place it in the chapel window. Let it burn until it dies on its own. That is enough. The armor no longer fits, not because your body has changed, but because the metal feels foreign, as if it belongs to someone who needed protection. You no longer do. You are not defended. You are defined. When you walk the southern wall, the stones beneath your feet feel warm some days, as if your steps have kindled the memory in the foundation, as if the ground itself has learned the rhythm of your passage. You pause sometimes near the broken eastern tower, where moss has begun to grow even in winter. The walls there still remember the first signal fire. You could almost see it, almost smell it, wood smoke and oil and shouted names. You say none of them aloud. You remember them. That is enough. One morning, you find a footprint near the outer gate. Not yours. Not fresh, but there. A boot mark, weathered, partially erased. But present, you crouch, press your fingers into the hollow it left behind. You feel nothing, no heat, no power, but the air shifts as you stand. The wind changes direction. You do not search for the visitor. You do not look for signs. If they came, they came. If they watched, they watched. You are not guarding a secret. You are keeping a shape, a place, a memory made of wall and blood and silence. You return to the tower. Ring the bell. The sound does not echo. It hum. Long. Carry not through air, but through stone, through the bones of the keep, down into the earth. You listen. You feel something beneath your feet shift, just slightly, just once. Then, stillness. That night you sleep in the old armory. The roof is half gone, the stars visible through the broken beams. You lie on a wool cloak and stare upward. You do not dream. You do not blink. You simply breathe until the sky fades to gray. And when you rise, the frost has formed a perfect circle around where you lay. You touch it. It melts beneath your palm. You stand. Walk the inner courtyard. The snow crunches under your boots. You walk to the old well, long sealed, stones collapsed inward. You sit beside it. Place your hand on the rim. You listen. There is no water, no echo, only a pressure, like breath held. You whisper a single word into the well, still, and in the silence after, you feel something settle. Not rise, settle, as though the place itself had needed to hear it spoken again. You walk away. Do not look back. The castle is quieter now, not emptier, more focused, as if it no longer needs to speak, only to be. You stop using the torch. You stop lighting the lantern. You know the way by heart now. You know where each stone is cracked. You know where the floor rises near the old kitchen, where the door frame leans at the barracks, where the northern parapet whistles when the wind comes through just right. You are not its occupant. You are its echo, its voice, in flesh. You write no more. You count no more. You sleep only when the silence around you feels soft. And when you wake, you always begin again. The same walk, the same eyes on the same road, the same stillness in your chest, the same breath in the same stone. And you understand, now this is not a watch for danger. This is not a vigil for return. This is the memory of what once was, held so long and so fully that it has become its own form of life. And you are its beating heart. The one thing that still moves so the rest can remain still. The one breath the fortress still takes. You climb the tower one more time. You place your hand on the bell. You do not ring it. You feel its shape, its weight, its silence. And for a moment, you are not man. You are not soldier. You are not name, or duty, or rank. You are stone that remembers how to speak. And your silence is heard. The bell no longer needs ringing. It breathes, not with sound, but with weight. You feel it in your bones before you reach the tower, in your chest when you wake, in your steps when you walk the wall. There is a pressure in the air now, low and ancient, as if time itself had thickened around the keep. The world outside remains untouched, a still painting of trees and wind and snow. But inside these walls, everything shifts, not visibly, not loudly. Quiet changes, the kind that reshapes stone not with hammers, but with years. You no longer mark the days. You do not need to. The cycle lives in you. The path is part of your flesh. You move as the keep moves, without thought. You speak less now. Sometimes, not at all. Weeks pass in silence. Your voice feels distant, a memory of noise no longer required. The fortress speaks for you. In wood settling, in wind circling the gate, in the way the snow never quite settles on the eastern steps. You still tend the walls. You still check the towers. You still oil the hinges, sweep the chapel, wipe frost from the armory door. But the tasks have shifted. They are not maintenance. They are communion. You are not preserving. You are participating. You are one of the stones now, the blood that keeps them warm, the breath that keeps them listening. You've begun sleeping in the gatehouse, not for comfort, for nearness. You lie on the old watch blanket, your head against the wood of the barred inner door. You feel the gate dream beneath you. You wake with the imprint of iron on your cheek and the taste of snow in your mouth. You rise. You walk. You observe. This is the way. The only way. The walls have taken you in. You find a bird one morning perched on the edge of the ruined tower. It doesn't fly when you approach. It stares. You stare back. You raise one hand, and it does not flinch. You lower it. The bird remains. The wind stills. Then it leaves. Not in flight. It simply isn't there anymore. You do not question it. Some things now are felt, not known. Understood, not explained. You begin hearing the tower breathe at night. Not loud, not strange. Just sound. Deep, slow, like lungs under stone. The kind of breathing that does not need air. You sleep with your eyes open sometimes. Not from fear. From stillness. Your body rests while your mind listens. You dream less. But when dreams come, they are not of the world beyond the gate. They are of hands carving stone, of fires that burn without smoke, of voices that speak in a language made of weather and time. You answer them by waking, by walking, by watching. That is all they ask. One morning, the wind changes. It smells different. Not of snow, of firewood and sweat. You walk the wall and see nothing, but the feeling stays. A presence. You return to the chapel. Kneel. You do not pray. You place your palm to the floor. Wait. The warmth answers. The same pulse. The same rhythm. Still here. Still yours. Still holding. You say aloud, "It is enough." And the wind dies. You do not eat that day. Not because you forget, because you are full. The silence feeds you now. The movement, the ritual, the shape of the place. It fills the hollow the scroll once opened. That paper has long faded. The ink vanished. The message is remembered, but meaningless. The release was given, yes, but you were never waiting for it. Not truly. You remain not because you were told, but because someone must. Someone must remember. Someone must be the last hand on the wall. The last name spoken in stone. You begin walking the keep without armor, without cloak, without blade. You wear only the wool beneath, the cloth faded from red to ash. You are not unprotected. You are the protection, the memory, the form that gives this place meaning. The others are gone, but you walk for them, breathe for them, ring the bell, even if only once a week now, just to say, still here, still holding, still listening. You look at your hands. They are cracked, hard, dry as bark. You place them flat against the stone. They match it, and when you whisper into the corridor, the echo does not return. It simply lands, as if the keep has learned to hold even your smallest words. You wonder sometimes if another will come. You wonder if one day footsteps will echo on the path. But you do not expect it. You do not need it. If they come, they will find you. Or not find you. Perhaps just your cloak, your logbook, the warmth still lingering in the chapel floor. That would be enough, because the post will be held, whether by body or by memory, whether by breath or by silence, because once a king gave an order, and once a man followed it, and never stopped. The sound of the wind becomes the only measure of passing time. It no longer howls. It exhales. Long, low, steady. You begin to match it. Your own breath falls into rhythm with the stone, with the snow, with the sky. You do not count it. You do not mark it. You simply move as it moves. The fortress grows quieter, not from decay, but from completeness. Everything loose has fallen. Everything broken has settled. The walls hold. The floor holds. You hold. You walk the same path, not to search, not to check, but because the act is now part of a place. Your movement is a hinge, a beam, a breath within the keep. You are no longer watching for what may come. You are keeping the memory of what once was. The gates remain closed. The towers remain standing. The chapel remains lit on rare evenings, when the sky turns the color of old parchment. On those nights you light a single candle, not for God, not for men, for stillness, for the silence that listens and remembers. You no longer write. The ink froze long ago, but you speak quietly, in the chapel, in the tower, in the kitchen, in the old stable. Just a word or two, just enough to keep the air aware that you are here. That someone still names the stones aloud, that the keep is not forgotten. You sleep less. Your dreams are no longer yours. They are places, hallways, memories not lived but held. A child playing in the southern courtyard. A smith hammering at a blade beside the forge. The smell of early autumn wheat in a cellar that no longer exists. You wake with these things in your mouth, and you do not question them. They are yours now, as much as the breath you take. One morning, the snow falls heavy and warm. You stand beneath it without cloak. Let it coat your shoulders, your hair, your hands. You do not move. And when it stops, the world is so still that for a moment you believe the fortress has turned to stone completely. You walk the wall again, slower, listening to the creak of old wood, the whisper of frost along the parapets. At the top of the tower, you place your hand on the bell. It is cold, not lifeless, just resting. You do not ring it. The silence is ringing enough. Later, you sit in the chapel and speak the names of those who once sat beside you. One by one, slowly, with care, you imagine their voices, their hands, their breath, and for a moment, the room warms, not in temperature, in presence. You smile, a small thing, the first in years. You rise. You walk the path again. You find yourself walking not to observe, but to carry, to hold each stone in place by passing it, by sharing its breath. One night the wind returns strong. It sings through the battlements. You do not hide from it. You climb to the highest point and let it move through you. Your cloak tears. Your arms ache from the cold. But you stay. And in that wind, you hear a voice. Not words, not sound, just shape. A memory older than your body, older than your name. You answer with your silence. The next morning, you walk beyond the gate. 3 paces, 5, 10. Then you stop. You look back at the keep. You do not feel loss. You feel return. You step back inside. Close the gate. Bar it again. You leave no tracks. The snow covers your path within minutes. You light a fire in the chapel that night. Small. Just enough. The flames move like breath, like thought. You sleep beside it. The stone warm beneath your spine. You dream of nothing, and wake rested, strong, ready. You stand in the main hall. You place your hand on the great beam that supports the roof. You whisper one word, still, and the stone answers in silence. That day, you do not patrol. You sit. You breathe. You let the keep remember you. And in doing so, you remember yourself. You remember what you are. Not soldier, not man, not watchman. You are the echo that keeps the stones from forgetting their purpose. The heartbeat that keeps the walls from falling into dust. The light that keeps the silence warm. And that is enough. The stone no longer feels cold. You wake with its warmth beneath your spine, rising through your chest like a slow tide. You breathe with the keep now. Not beside it, not within it. With it, the line between your steps and the sound of shifting walls is gone. You walk and it listens. You stop and it breathes. The bell no longer rings, and you no longer miss the sound. The silence has learned to speak in ways no bell ever could. You light no more fires. Your body stays warm enough. You eat little. You drink when the snow falls fresh. Your strength does not fade. It has changed. You no longer feel hunger. You feel purpose. You walk the walls and feel each stone speak to you not in words, but in presence. They remember you. They hold you. And because they hold you, they remain. You check the gate not to ensure it is locked, but to feel its weight. You sit before it at dusk, your back to the wood, your eyes on the windless world beyond. The snow no longer stirs. The trees do not bend. The world is still, as if holding breath with you. At night, you sleep sitting upright. You no longer dream. Or perhaps the waking world has become the dream. You hear sounds that do not pass through air. The creak of memory. The voice of age. The shape of a name that was never spoken aloud. It does not scare you. It welcomes you. The name is yours. And it is also the keep's. One morning, the clouds part. Sunlight touches the chapel window for the first time in weeks. You kneel and let it warm your back. You do not thank it. You do not speak. You simply remain. The walls hum. A low, steady vibration, like a heart. You place your hand on the altar. You feel the rhythm. You match it. It deepens, slows, finds you, holds you. You speak a word aloud, the first in many days. Still, the walls answer, not with echo, with knowing. You smile again, not from joy, from recognition. You are no longer a soldier, no longer a guardian. You are the last breath of a place that remembers itself through you. And when you die, and you will die yet, will not be an end. It will be another way the stone learns how to remain. You do not know when that day will come. You do not need to. Time does not matter here. Only shape, only presence. You rise from the chapel floor. You walk the main hall. You pass your own armor, folded now on the bench where you once sat. It no longer fits. Not because you are smaller, because you are more. You are the bell without rope, the breath without sound, the wall without wound. And as you walk the parapet for the last time that day, you look not to the forest, nor to the road, but to the sky. And you nod, not to a god, not to the king, to the sky itself, because it has watched you, because it will carry you, because it too will remember. You descend. You return to your room. You sit. You close your eyes. And the keep breathes with you. You wake without opening your eyes. You do not need to see to know where you are. The air has shape. The stone has rhythm. You are held in the hands of the keep, not like a prisoner, but like a seed in soil. You do not move. You listen. The wind is not blowing. The wood does not creak. The snow does not fall. Even your breath has become slower, longer, like time stretched across stone. You rise only when your body tells you it must. There is no hunger, no thirst, no duty. Only motion, carried forward by memory that no longer belongs to just you. The floor beneath your feet feels warmer now. Not hot, alive. You place your palm to the chapel wall as you pass. The stone accepts your touch, returns a pulse. You nod. The keep knows you are awake. You light no candle. The light comes from elsewhere, faint, steady, without flame. It seems to rise from the walls, the door frames, even from your own skin. You are not glowing, but you are no longer shadow. You walk to the gate and unbar it. You do not open it. You do not plan to leave, but the gesture has become part of the cycle. A breath outward, a signal. You open it one finger's width, enough for the wind to speak, if it chooses. It doesn't, but something else does. A sound from deep inside the keep. Not loud, not alarming. Just a shift, a weight settling, a stone accepting something long carried. You return to the courtyard. You stand where the old well once stood. The ground is flat now, snowless. You feel it rise beneath you, not upward, but inward, as if you are no longer standing on the keep, but inside it. You do not move. Your presence is your answer. That night, you do not sleep. You sit in the center of the great hall, the ceiling above half open to the stars. The light touches your face, and you let it. The wind passes overhead, not around you. It respects your stillness. You remember the first time you walked through the gate. Younger, quieter, carrying orders, not questions. You remember the captain's voice, the training yard, the sound of many boots on the same stones. You now walk alone. You do not miss them. You do not grieve them. They are here, in you, around you, through you. The stone holds them because you held the post, and the post holds because you remained. At dawn, you feel a change, not in air, in direction. Something has shifted, not arrived, not ended, just turned. Like the moment a tide begins to pull back, you walk to the bell tower. You do not climb it. You simply touch the base, and it hums for the first time in weeks. You press your ear to the stone. You hear nothing, but your body understands. The keep is remembering you, not your name, not your face, your rhythm, your choice. The way you did not leave, the way you did not demand, the way you held the shape without asking for reward. You walk the wall slower now, not from fatigue, from reverence. Each step is a farewell to a moment that will not return. Not because you are leaving, because you are becoming. You stand before the chapel. The door is open. You did not leave it that way, but you do not close it. You enter, sit before the altar. The scroll is gone. You expected that. What was once written is no longer needed. You do not kneel. You sit upright. You place both hands on the stone and close your eyes. And you wait. The silence that comes is not empty. It is full. It is the sound of stone breathing, walls listening, time bending. You feel it rise in your spine. Not fear, not power, memory. The keep is not a ruin. It is a vessel. You are not a sentinel. You are its voice. You whisper one word, not in your tongue. A word you do not know until it leaves you. It means, we remain. And the stones answer, not with echo, with warmth. And from far off, maybe days away, maybe years, someone stops. Someone hears it. A pulse, a breath, a bell, and says, it still stands. You no longer wake. You rise, not by choice, but by rhythm. As if some peep layer of stone exhales and your body follows, the space around you feels closer, not smaller, more attentive. The keep is not decaying. It is focusing. The edges of walls feel smoother. The steps creak less. The light, though dim, finds its way in without fail. You see more clearly now, not with eyes, but with presence. Your body moves through the air as though guided by memory, not your own. You do not think. You remember forward. Your hands know what to do. The gate does not resist you anymore. The torch holders, though unused, seem clean. The snow avoids your path. You do not command this. You accept it. You walk to the chapel each morning and place your hand on the altar, not in prayer, but in confirmation that this is the day, that the pattern holds, that you're still the shape through which the keep remembers itself. You no longer eat. You drink only once a week, and even that is ritual. The body remains strong, quiet, hollow like a bell, and just as full of meaning. You walk the inner wall. You touch each stone. You whisper a name, a word, a breath. With each one, the stone answers. Not in sound, in presence. You feel them listening now. Not only the walls, the land, the air, the snow, the memory of the forest. Something is circling this place again. Not enemies, not travelers. Time itself. Time has returned, curious, cautious, like a beast that once left this place untouched and now seeks to know if it still breathes. You do not stop it. You do not welcome it. You simply remain. That is enough. You pass the door to the armory, still shut, still sealed. Inside lie the final things not yet absorbed. Metal, wood, Objects that remember a different version of you. You do not need them, but you do not destroy them. They are echoes, like you, like the wind that now moves through the keep not as weather but as thought. You sleep standing some nights, leaning against the north wall, arms at your sides, eyes half open. When you close them, nothing changes. The world remains. You feel it without looking. That is what it means to be the last. To know without seeing. To carry without touching. The stars appear sharper now, their light more precise. You lie on the stone near the tower and watch them. You do not count them. You do not name them. You let them look at you. And when they do, you nod once, and they blink in return, as if to say, we see you still. One morning, the ground beneath your heel shifts, not from collapse, from opening. You feel it before you move, beneath the chapel, beneath the altar, beneath even the foundation. A soundless breath, a crack not of destruction, but of invitation. You descend, not with fear, with knowing. You open the chapel door and walk to the altar. The stones beneath it have moved, revealing a hollow, a stair, not made, revealed. You do not hesitate. You take the first step, then the second. The dark is soft, not blind. The air is warmer the deeper you go. And then it comes. The sound, a pulse, a bell struck from within the earth. It moves through your bones, like breath through cloth. You reach the chamber. Round, simple. Stone. At the center, a circle. Inside it, nothing. You step in, and the keep breathes. Around you, through you. You are not alone. Not here. Not now. The memory of every voice, every footstep, every held post, every oath, every breath taken in this fortress, all of it surrounds you. You kneel. You place both hands to the floor. You do not speak. You do not move. You become. And the keep accepts you. Fully. Finally. The chamber begins to glow not with flame, with memory, with you. And somewhere, far away, a young traveler crests a distant hill, sees a tower, a wall, a single window with light, and he stops, places his hand to his chest, and whispers, "Someone is still there." And the wind replies, "Yes." Still, you no longer mark where the keep ends, and you begin. The walls move with your breath. The towers lean with your thoughts. The floor warms beneath your feet before you step. You are not a man inside a fortress. You are the fortress, remembering its man. You do not question this. You do not rejoice in it. You accept it the way a mountain accepts weather, the way stone accepts time. There are no mirrors here. Your reflection is in the way the wind curves around the chapel, in the way the snow never piles at the gate, in the way the birds land but never call. You have not spoken your name in years. You do not need it. The place knows you. The place has learned to breathe through you. You are its voice, not in words, but in presence. When the torch brackets rusted, you did not replace them. When the banners turned to dust, you did not mend them. These were signs of a kingdom. You are older than that now. You are not the kingdom. You are what remembers it when nothing else does. One night you feel a sound through the stone, not outside. Beneath, not danger, attention. You return to the chamber below the chapel. The walls do not shimmer. They wait. You kneel again in the circle. Place your hands down. You speak no language, but the stones answer. Images move behind your eyes. The first shovel of earth, the first carved beam, the first oath spoken into the wind, the first bell, the first call, the first silence. You see them all, not as visions, as memories. Yours now. Forever. You rise. You do not feel changed. You feel clarified. When you return to the surface, the wind pauses. The night is clear. You walk the full wall without looking down. You no longer check. You no longer guard. You no longer wait. You fulfill. You embody. One by one, the chambers of the keep grow quieter. You close them as you go, not to seal them, but to let them sleep. The armory, the kitchen, the barracks. You touch each door, whisper something only the stones understand. Each time, the air grows warmer. Each time, the silence deepens. One morning, a deer stands outside the gate. It does not flee. It watches. You watch back. You nod. It nods. Then, walks away. You do not tell anyone. There is no one to tell. But the memory is added to the keep. Another quiet moment stored in stone. Later in the chapel, you light a candle without flame. You do not question how. You sit in its glow and close your eyes. You listen to the breath of the keep, to the slow beat of time curling around itself like a vine. You begin to sense things far beyond the walls. People, roads, voices. But they are small now, distant. Not because you are far, but because they are not ready to hear what this place has become. One day, maybe, but not yet. You are not lonely. You are full. The memory of footsteps walks beside you even now. You feel them in your left shoulder. You hear their breath in the wind through the tower. You walk slower now, not from age, from reverence. Each step is not travel. It is tribute, a way of telling the keep, I am still here. I am still yours. I am still watching. At night you sleep with your back to the wall, and your eyes open to the sky. The stars look closer now, as if they too are keeping watch, as if they remember your name, though you no longer speak it. You place a stone on the chapel altar. You do not know why, but it feels right. Each day you place another. A ring begins to form. When it completes, you know something will change, but you do not rush it. You place one stone per day, nothing more. The wind no longer enters the chapel, not out of resistance, out of respect. You are not praying anymore. You are keeping memory. Every step, every breath, every gesture, a form of continuation. You are not a remnant. You are a thread in something larger than history. And when you wake now, you do not open your eyes to see. You open them to remember. Because memory is the only thing that survives the snow. And you are the keeper of it. You place the 14th stone on the altar. The ring is nearly closed. You do not hurry. Each stone is placed at dawn with both hands, with silence. You do not speak during the placing. You do not breathe until the stone touches the surface. It is not a ritual. It is a recognition. Each piece is part of a whole you do not fully understand, but fully accept. The chapel has become quieter, not emptier, full of something unspoken. The light no longer needs fire. The warmth no longer needs flame. The walls no longer need prayers. They have presence. You wake each morning and walk the same path, but it feels new. Not because the world has changed, because you have. The silence now speaks in rhythms. The snow crunches differently beneath your boots. The door hinges ground in perfect intervals. The wind taps against the tower like a familiar hand. You move more slowly now, not from weakness, from clarity. Every motion is a message. Every touch, an answer. You are not watching the fortress. You are speaking through it. When you pass the courtyard, you feel the breath of the keep rise through your legs and settle in your chest. You exhale without thought, and the stones seem to answer with warmth in return. At night, you no longer sleep fully. You hover, you listen, you become still, and the keep listens with you. Sometimes you feel the others, the ones before, the ones long buried. They are not ghosts, they are echoes, and they do not haunt you. They walk beside you. You hear laughter in the frost. You smell oil in the armory. You hear footfalls in the barracks, boots never worn again. You nod. You say nothing. The place is whole when you are still. You light no torches. You need no map. You place your hand to the stones and feel the day of their laying. The heat of the fire that forged them, the voices that raised them, the hands that bled to shape them. All of it is there. You remember things you never saw. You know names you never spoke. You feel a story not written in scrolls or books, but in mortar, in shadow, in space. And it remembers you back. You are not an intruder in this history. You are the vessel for its telling. The gate remains closed. You have not looked beyond it in weeks. You no longer care what lies outside. It will come if it must, and you will not fear it, because when it arrives, it will meet not a man, but a memory strong enough to stand. You add the 15th stone. You sit beside the altar. You do not think. You listen. And then, for the first time in years, you speak your name, quietly, not to claim it, to return it. The walls receive it. You feel them shift around you, not physically, but in rhythm. They breathe differently now. The keep is preparing, not to end, to reveal. That evening, you return to the chamber beneath the chapel. You light no lantern. The light comes from within. The circle on the floor glows faintly, not bright, steady. You sit in its center. You close your eyes. You press your palms to the stone, and something opens. Not a door, not a trap, a sense, a widening, a listening so vast you feel the hairs on your arms rise. And then you hear it, not from within, from beyond. A voice, not human, not alien, a voice made of stone and weather and time. And it says only one word, not in your tongue, but you know it. It means remain. You whisper, I have, and silence answers like a cloak. You rise. Return to the chapel. The 15th stone pulses gently in the dark. You sleep beside the altar, and the keep sleeps with you. You place the 16th stone. The ring is now complete. You do not mark it with ceremony. You do not bow. You simply sit before it and listen. The chapel hums faintly beneath the surface of hearing, not sound. Vibration. The air in the room thickens slightly, not from warmth or cold, but from presence. As if something long asleep has opened its eyes. You do not look up. You do not speak. You place your palms against the floor and close your eyes. The stone beneath you begins to breathe, slowly, deeply, as if drawing you inward, breath by breath. You remain still. You have become good at stillness. It is not silence. It is shape, a holding, a listening, and the keep listens with you. For hours, maybe days, time loses its grip. The rhythm of stone takes over. You do not sleep. You drift. And then something shifts. Beneath the chapel, beneath the old chamber, beneath even the bones of the keep. A sound, a beat, not a bell, not thunder. A heartbeat, one you've never heard before. Not human, not animal. Something vast, slow, ancient. It does not frighten you. It welcomes you. It knows you. You stand. You walk the chapel. The light no longer comes from the candle. It comes from the altar, from the ring, from your skin. You leave the room. Step into the courtyard. The snow has melted in a perfect circle around the well. You stand in the center. The wind circles you but does not touch you. The air is clear. You walk to the gate. Lay one hand on it. The wood is warm, as if the forest beyond had remembered fire. You press your forehead to the door. Whisper, still, and the hinges breathe in response. You do not open the gate. Not yet. You walk the keep slowly. One full round, touching each wall, each tower, each door, saying no words, just letting the space recognize you again. And it does. Every stone responds. With breath, with warmth, with memory. You end in the tower. The bell is still. You stand beside it, one hand on the cold metal. You feel the sound inside it before it's made. You speak. one last time. And then you ring it, just once. The sound moves like a wave, not outward, downward, into the keep, into the roots, into the ground, into whatever lies beneath everything. You listen, you wait, and then the world shifts. Not shakes, shifts, as if everything turns its head toward the keep, as if the sky holds its breath. You descend. The chapel door is open. The stones of the ring glow faintly. You step into the center. Kneel. Place your hands on the altar. Speak not aloud, but with your body. I am ready. And something hears you. The light pulses. Once. That again. Then stills. The walls breathe. The chapel exhales. And beneath you, the deep heartbeat returns. Louder now. Steady. Slow. The keep has awakened. But not as it once was. It does not rise. It does not crumble. It remembers every voice, every footstep, every oath, every name. They pass through you now, not as images, as breath, as knowing. You become not the keeper of the keep. You become its tongue, its memory, its shape in the world. And far beyond the mountains, far beyond the forest, in a distant city, a child wakes in the night, says to her mother, "There's a place, it's waiting." And the mother, not knowing why, whispers, "Yes," because memory moves through stone, and stone moves through time, and time has finally turned its eye back toward the place that held. Because you held. Because you never left. Because one man remembered long enough for the world to feel it. And that is how the keep remains. Not with soldiers. Not with kings. With breath. With silence. With one voice repeating across the centuries. Still. You do not wake anymore. You return. Gently. Without motion. The keep breathes you into itself each day, and you exhale back into it without effort. There is no barrier between your body and the stone. You do not command the walls. You do not tend them. You are them. When the wind brushes past the tower, it brushes past your shoulder. When the gate shifts in the cold, your spine adjusts. When the snow falls on the courtyard, it lands softly on your hands. You walk slowly, not because you are old, but because you are part of something that no longer needs to hurry. The bell is quiet. You do not ring it. It remembers the sound on its own. The altar glows faintly, even without stone. The circle you built has begun to sink gently into the floor, not disappearing, becoming. The keep needs no signals now. It knows. And the world beyond, though distant, has begun to feel its breath again. You no longer eat. You no longer drink. You sit sometimes for hours in the chapel without a single thought. Not from emptiness, from fullness. You are surrounded by what was, what is, and what always will be. The keep is no longer a fortress. It is a memory in motion. A wound that closed itself with time and silence. A place that once held war, and now holds only stillness. You have not opened the gate in a long time. But one morning, you do. Not to leave, not to invite. Just to let the world remember this threshold still exists. The wood creaks. The iron breathes. The snow sighs. You step forward. Bree paces. You stand. You listen. The forest is older. The air is lighter. Somewhere birds are waking. Somewhere the world is beginning again. You say no words. You nod once. Then return inside. You do not close the gate. You let it remain open. Just a little. Just enough. So that if someone comes, they will know this place was never lost. Only kept. You walk the walls one final time. Your fingers brush the stone like reading a book written in shadow. Each tower nods to you as you pass. Each corridor warms around your footsteps. You reach the chapel. You step inside. The altar is still. The ring is gone. Only smooth stone remains. You kneel once, not to end something, to mark it. To say, yes, I was here. You lie down with your hands folded on your chest. You close your eyes. You do not sleep. You do not die. You remain. The keep breathes once more. A deep, steady breath. It holds. And when the first traveler arrives many years from now, alone and tired and cold, they will not knock. They will not call. They will only step across the gate, pause in the snow, and whisper, "Someone stayed." And the walls will answer, not with echo, with stillness. And the bell will ring, just once, from nowhere, from everywhere. And they will understand. The post was never abandoned. The flame was never lost. And silence was never empty. It was full of a single name, whispered across generations by stone that remembered what men forgot. And now the keep will speak through another, because the shape was held, and holding it was enough.